Hello, everybody. Check microphone. Check 1 2. Just want to make sure that those out there who are keeping an eye on the back end of this broadcast can see me and hear me. And once I get that, we will go time. In the meantime, I hope you are all doing well. Okay. All right. So, apparently everything is working except for the fact that I still have yet to figure out why my Nikon stopped working as my webcam, which allowed me much more freedom. I had a longer cord, I could be outside. It was so much better. But working with the regular old webcam again today till I can do some more troubleshooting. But anyway, got lots to be thankful for and lots to be happy about. So that is just a minor inconvenience, you know. I learned this the hard way, but you know, if you worry too much about any given one thing, we tend to magnify it and blow it up to be much bigger than it actually is. You know, I'm sure it's one setting on the back of my camera that I have set wrong, and I'll figure it out. But until then, you'll just have to deal with standard webcam T3. You can't make out my luscious gray Gandalf beard. But anyway, how y'all doing? It's been 2 weeks since my last T3Live, and a lot has happened since then. I have had epiphanies and revelations and just hope and thanksgiving and rapture and wonder and time with friends, and just, you know, so many cool things have happened that, you know, that's why I do this show, is to give you all little vignettes into my life. You know, I know for the last year, at times I'm happy, at times I'm mopey, but you know, that's just me going through the range of emotions. You know, anytime I meet somebody and talk with them for the first time and they're struggling with something, I try to put myself, imagine what it's like to be them. Because even though what somebody's going through may seem insignificant to us, it's obviously significant to the person if they're bringing it up to you to talk about. So always remember that, you know. Just, it's like that old saying goes, it's always easier to solve everyone else's problems. So anytime you encounter a situation like that, you know, whether it's somebody for asking for advice or whatever, no matter how silly you think it is, just remember, for that person, those emotions are very real, and we need to honor that. And that's one of the many things, you know, about being a caretaker, which is ultimately why I do what I do, is to create an army of caretakers that go out there spreading goodness wherever they may go. So yeah, so speaking of some revelations, you know, I have a friend, Jesse, hopefully, I'm not sure if he's watching tonight. Jesse booked me for a weekend private class here at my place last year. We had a great class together, and ever since then, he just, all he wants to do is be in the woods. And he asked me, you know, months ago, we came up with the plan to go camping over, you know, whatever the dates were last weekend. We were supposed to leave on Friday, but me having dog sitting issues, and he also ran into some things, we got hung up. So since we were only going to the Tillamook Forest, which is, you know, a 2-hour drive, we both decided to leave early Saturday morning. So we get there, and the original spot that he had picked out was just not good. It was snowy, mucky mess. And we drove around for a little while, and we eventually found this beautiful little campsite right on the side of a river. Had a rock ring already built. And, we got out of our vehicles, no signal, perfect. Have the Garmin inReach as a backup just in case there was an emergency, anybody need to get in touch with us. And we set about, setting up our stuff, setting up our tents, gathering firewood, all the stuff you do when you go into the woods. And as I'm doing these things, I'm also identifying edible plants. I'm looking at places in the creek where I would set up a fish trap or maybe a crawfish corral. I'm looking at shelter locations. We sat out in the rain for 14 hours, and thankfully, because we were both coated in weather wool, who happens to be the finest hardcore outdoor wool clothing manufacturer on the planet. I am an ambassador for them, by the way, so just to keep it real. And I do not endorse anything that I would not stake my life on. So same goes with my, ambassadorship with T3Live knives. We stake our lives on our tools when we go out into the wilderness, So yeah. Anyway, we sat there for 14 hours in the rain around a fire, and just had the best time because I came to this epiphany that, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the fire and I'm like, I got about 10 more minutes, so I got to get up and go find another branch. And then also all of the other information I just habitually gathered about our surroundings. I felt completely safe, happy, wonderful, because I knew what to do. I knew exactly what I needed to do, almost down to the minute in order to maintain my life force, in order to maintain the fire. And then as I'm driving home, I realized that me in the business world is the equivalent of somebody who has never camped before, being dropped off in the middle of the woods and have a bunch of like survival tools scattered at their feet, and then just left there to kind of figure them out. And I have had help, a lot of help from a lot of you, so thank you so much for your help and helping me learn things. But yeah, it kind of made things a little clearer for me, and made me realize that take the time, just like I took the time to learn all the skills I know that I teach, I need to dedicate that same passion, that same dedication to the business skills. And I'm racking my brain on ways to get people out here for classes, people to sign up for my online classes, which I'll talk about here in a second. And yeah, it's just it's a lot for one person, especially when you're as inexperienced in the world of business as I am. And one thing I will tell you is that just that one like night out, it like rejuvenated me, it re-energized me, and it made me remember why I do what I do. I do what I do so that anyone and everyone who wants to can have that same sense of peace when they are in the wilderness. I spend my time fighting the these TV shows that continue to perpetuate the myth of humans and nature as adversaries. So I kind of came back, and I just, before that I had tweaked some things like lowering the cost of my webinars, I went around looking at other schools and what they were charging and thinking about how much effort I have to put into running a webinar. So I lowered the price by 75% for an individual webinar. But one thing I want to talk about real quick, I've made several videos about it, so I'm not going to, I'll keep mentioning it, of course. But I was speaking with April Vokey from Anchored Outdoors. She produced my masterclass on wilderness survival, which is like, I think it's like 9 hours, something like that. And I was just asking advice as somebody who is a successful business person. And she said, I got an idea. I'll tell you what. Tell people that for the $200 price tag, they get all 8 of your webinars, and I will throw in your wilderness survival masterclass for free on top of that $200. And you will also get a free year-long membership to Anchored Outdoors. Anchored Outdoors is a site April started a few years ago where she mainly focuses on producing a high quality video outdoor content. So, there's a master class in there that's really long on how to completely tan a deer hide from right off the animal to that nice soft supple suede buckskin. There's a pelt tanning class in there, and there's other ones as well. So I did some rough math, and for $200 you're getting something like $1,000 worth of stuff. So I suggest that you jump on this one. The first date of the first online session for the all-in-one is March 2nd. So you've still got a bit of time left to sign up for that. So thank you, April, very much. It's helped a lot. And, my audience gets exposed to her work, and her audience gets exposed to my work, even though we've worked together in the past, because one of the 3 pillars of Future Nature and T3 Photography is, collaboration, community, and caretaking. Those are the 3 legs, the 3 main pillars that hold my work up. And yeah. So speaking of online classes, I used to hate doing them. I remember when the pandemic hit and I all of a sudden had to come up with a whole bunch of adult webinars really quickly. And I did, and they were, with help, because I had never built a slideshow before. And over the last few years, this series of 8 webinars that I run, I have honed down to pretty awesome presentations. And then once spring hits, I'm going to take each of those 8 individual webinars I do, and I'm going to create mini master classes out of each one. So if you are to sign up for the all-in-one package that's currently on my website, you get all the stuff I mentioned, 8 live webinars, you'll get a recording that's just of the Zoom meeting afterwards, and then sometime later on this spring, once the weather stops raining and I can actually be outside with my camera for more than 5 minutes, I plan on recording each webinar with no audience and with more production value. Whereas in a webinar, I might just talk about something. In the mini masterclass version, I'll actually demonstrate it. So, you're going to get an extra bonus on top of all the rest of that. So speaking of that, I also came up with the idea of doing, and I got this one from my father, is doing classes that are multiple sessions on a single subject. So I racked my brain, like, what of the skill sets that I teach, what can correlate safely and well into the online sphere? And the first thing that popped into my head was bone tool making. Here's a nice atlatl spear point I'm working on that I am going to haft onto a, similar to how this is foreshafted. I'm going to make a hazelnut foreshaft with this, and then that's going to get put in the end of a nice long piece of black bamboo, and is going to make a amazing atlatl dart that would be worthy of trying to go after a mammoth. But I thought, bone tools, the sharpest tool you really need is a hacksaw, and otherwise it's just work with rocks and files. So I designed a 5-session bone tools class where you'll learn how to make everything from spear points to knives to arrowheads to jewelry. Get that a little closer. And to, this is a needle I'm working on, or this could end up becoming a gorge hook, fish hooks, all sorts of stuff. And it's not just going to be the type of thing where, the sessions are on this date, you have your session, you get your recording, and then, you just wait till the next session. Oh no. This is going to be interactive. We're going to have our own kind of chat room. I'm thinking about going with this thing called Mighty Networks, where it can basically build us our own little classroom, and that way I can upload videos in between, maybe teaching you a new tool or a new technique. If it's a photography webinar, you can upload some of the stuff you're working on, you can ask me questions, you can chat with each other, you can chat with me. So I want it to be to where we form the class forms this little community, because it's not just like there are 5 classes 5 nights in a row. These 5 classes may take place over a few months due to other teaching engagements and travel things I have to do. So I wanted to create something special for the in-between times. So whether it's the bone tools and jewelry making, the nature photography, or the, I think the latest working title is, awareness, caretaking, and how to be a good human being. And that's going to delve into everything from movement to exercising our senses to cultivating our instincts, to body control, all sorts of amazing stuff. So on top of that, my brain's also turning and coming up with other ideas for other online classes, because one thing I love about it is that I can teach to anyone in the world, right? So you don't have to fly here to Oregon, I don't have to fly to you. And they tend to be cheaper than an in-person class, but you're going to get the same amount of information. Doesn't mean I'm going to go full online. I love nothing more than having a class out here, but I will be offering some more online stuff, so stay tuned for that in the future. And on the bone tools class, I'm also going to teach you how to do things like process animal sinew to make some of the strongest cordage there is, or sewing thread, or use that same sinew for hafting your arrowheads onto your arrows. So it's going to be much more than just the taking dog bones that you steal from your dog that doesn't chew on them anymore, or the ones you get from the pet store. It's going to be it's going to be awesome. I'm going to teach you how to process raw green bone into workable, because living bone is nice and soft. That's why it breaks pretty easily, but as it cures, it gets hard. The next thing I want to mention, and one I am really excited about, and I'm hoping Matthew is watching, but March 3rd through the 5th here in Sandy, Oregon, the crew from La Primitifs is coming down for it starts March 3rd through the 9th. It is a nature immersion workshop, also with a kind of mini survival trip at the end. We'll call it a survival adventure. But don't let that, even though there's only 3 spaces left, don't let that scare you from partaking in this experience, because it's meant for anybody. So yeah, don't think I'm going to torture you and make you, sit in baths of ice or anything like that. But we will immerse ourselves in nature. And March in Oregon can be a potpourri of anything. It could be 80 degrees, it could be snow, who knows. But if we take the time to learn how to properly dress and prepare for the outdoors, just like my buddy and I did the other night, we sat out for 14 hours in the rain and I didn't have a lick of rain gear on me. It's because wool is a superior fabric for outdoor use, because it insulates us even when it's wet. It's quiet, it reflects light or absorbs light as opposed to reflects it. It's real quiet in the woods. It's durable. It's fire resistant, antimicrobial. Yeah, that's one thing. The wool fiber is amazing, and I actually read recently the indigenous peoples of this region had a specific type of dog they bred that they got wool from. And there's like a sample of a blanket in a museum somewhere. And it's on my a list. I've got several tiers of to-do lists, and it's like way down there to research this type of breed of dog. But yeah, it's pretty awesome stuff if you think about it. Yeah, I'm as on a personal level, I feel great. I'm finally started to put some more weight back on. I could use clean up my place a little bit. But other than that, I'm settling into a workflow and a groove that works for me, that isn't as stressful. I just my biggest achievement of last week was refinancing my car from 17.49% to 8%. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't ever bother building your credit. So I'm excited about that, and I'm just so hopeful with all the people who have reached out and offered spots for potential classes, or are interested in private online classes. Currently at the moment I have 5 online students. We do all our sessions online. I also do private apprenticeship style programs. I currently have one student for that. He comes anywhere from 1 to 3 times a month for a full day, and we just work on whatever. And so if you live in this area and that's something you might be interested in, contact me. If you're interested in the online mentoring, and contact me about it. The reason why I gave up a well-paying job with full benefits and a more than livable wage was because I promised myself I was only ever going to have 2 bosses ever again: my students and nature. Actually, should I say nature, and my students. So, you know, if you've got an idea for a class, if you want to, if you've got a group of friends and you want to host me for a class, just reach out. You know, it's cheaper than you think. And you know, because as I said, my goal is to get this education to as many people as possible, as affordable as possible, while still keeping the lights on and the dingo fed, and gas in the Subaru. So that's all I got for today, gang. I will be, you know, continually updating my social medias with things as they occur. I've got a few things brewing that I can't talk about just yet, but that are, you know, potentially going to be epic. I'm hoping to take a trip back to New Jersey here soon to visit my dad and my wonderful stepmother Celeste, and of course the Pine Barrens and grandmother Atlantic. And yeah, just go check in there because it's been a while and I haven't been able to afford to go there. And if I save for a little while, I should be able to get a ticket for February or something. So that's my plan. But otherwise, I'm around. If you ever have a question about anything, do not hesitate to reach out, because that's what I am here for, is to teach you how to, you know, be the best you can be, the best human being you can be. I'm so much more than a skills teacher. I am, you know, I'm a one-stop shop for just about everything. So I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, love those around you as best as you can, even if you don't understand why they do the things they do. Be nice to one another.